Welcome to the MLB Coast to Coast podcast brought to you by thelines.com. Coming to you from the West Coast, Josh Lander, joined not yet by Nate Weitzer, still traipsing the countryside, but he will be back in a few weeks to continue on with these MLB player props for you guys. Definitely want to make sure to like and subscribe to that page. Continue to follow along with us. We're going to be coming back to you for basically the rest of the regular season. We'll see how things go when Nate gets back and we dive into NFL in the fall, as well as when NBA starts. But we should be bringing you these MLB videos, like I said, for the rest of this regular season, continuing on with these player props. Also want to make sure you head to thelines.com. That's where we have all the great written content that Mo, Nate, and gang and myself are all putting up on the site for you these days. Also have the odds finder tool on there that I always tell you guys about. It's a great props finder for teams and players, so you can make sure you get all the available odds that are right there in front of you and choose the best juice for you guys from those sports books that are giving us bets this MLB season. Last night, kind of a rough night, only lost 0.85 units, didn't even lose a full unit because we didn't really even bet nearly a full unit. One bet did not happen as the Reds and the Giants were postponed. We had Elly De La Cruz to get a steal in that one. Wasn't looking great, so I'm not mad that got rained out in the eighth. Shane McClanahan went just over 5.5 Ks, got that one wrong. He was pitching a one-hit gem up into, I believe, the fifth, which is when he gave up 2 runs, but also got that 6th strikeout. So he looks like he might be already back in form. It felt like a good bet, just didn't. Obviously, the results didn't pan out the way we wanted them to. Texas and Tampa Bay, as a result of Shane pitching so well and Dane Dunning actually pitching well despite giving up 2 early runs. That first 5 run line did not go over 4.5, so we got that one wrong. And Luzardo only put up, I believe, 2 Ks for the Marlins, who did end up beating the Cardinals, but he did not get close to 7 Ks there. So we're only 2-3 on the season now, but still up 1.07 units. Feeling good about that as we roll into Tuesday's games, whatever day of the week it is, on July the 18th. Let's start off with Aaron Nola, and I'm fading Aaron Nola once more. Look, the Elly pick last night for the steal was one that I don't know I'll be coming back to with these hitters. It's tough to predict who's going to be hitting and getting hits. Sometimes I might come back to some sort of under walks and things like, or over walks for players, under strikeouts, over strikeouts for players and pitchers, but I'm not really looking to get into the steal game anymore necessarily. I'm going back to the well that I feel comfortable with, which is an under for Aaron Nola, pitcher, under 7.5 Ks. That's a lot of Ks, and it's minus 140 on FanDuel. I'm going 0.4 units on it, one of my more confident bets for sure on the day. It's under 6.5 on DraftKings right now if you want it, plus 130 to take off a full K and go under, but I'm fine with taking the under 8 Ks. It's a lot, man. And look, he's a great strikeout pitcher at times, but this is a season where he's been having his not a great K rate season, worst K per 9 since his rookie year, actually. In 15 of 19 starts this season, he got less than 7 Ks, or 7 or less Ks, I should say. I mean, he's not getting to that 8 number most of the time. He has gotten there once in his last 4, 3 of his last 9. So more than 75% of the time, usually he's not, around 75% anyway, he's not getting to this number of 8 Ks, which is a lot, as he does take on a Milwaukee team that I think there's a reason that this is so high and a little bit bloated. And I'm blaming that on the fact that Milwaukee was one of the worst teams in terms of strikeouts against righties prior to the last 3 weeks or so, though. Like over the last 3 to 4 weeks, they've gotten a lot better on the season. They do have a K rate of the 8th most against right-handed pitching, but in the last 3 weeks, they've jumped all the way up to 12th. With just a 21% K rate, much better than roughly the 28% that they were, putting up 27%. They also, in terms of hitting walking against them, they have been walking a lot more. The Brewers have been against right-handed pitching. Could get Nola into trouble as he's averaging nearly 3 walks per 9, the worst of his career as well. So the lack of strikeouts, the increase in walks, which obviously it's a little bit harder to strike somebody out when you're pitching from the stretch with a man on base. So all these things combined, the way that the Brewers have been hitting right-handed pitching so much better over the last 3 weeks, and as they continue to surge towards winning that NL Central, I think this is a good spot to fade Nola's K prop and go under 7.5 for him. And then we move on to another guy who's had a much worse season than Aaron Nola, despite being in the Cy Young voting last year, and that's Alek Manoah and the Blue Jays. I feel like you'll probably see a number of people fading Manoah today, myself included. And the way that I'd like to do that, I thought about San Diego Padres money line first 5, and I think I'm still going that route because they have Musgrove on the mound there for the Pods. But Alek Manoah over 2.5K walks, is also a really solid bet for me. Minus 110 for that on DraftKings. I'm putting 0.3 units on Manoah to go over 2.5 walks in this game. And look, I'm going to put 0.2 on the Padres to be winning at the end of 5 innings here with their money line. Minus 130 on DraftKings as well. Just get into Manoah for a minute. Everything is just bad this year for him, and we know he had to go down and make a few starts in the minors. An 18.4% K rate, way below last year. All these numbers are basically 14% walk rate, and the opponent batting average against is 283. That's a 5.63 Sierra for him as well. What do all these numbers mean? People are hitting him. They're making better contact than last year. His walk rate is good for the 4th percentile, according to this math. He's worse than most of the pitchers in this league when it comes to his walk rate, as he's been nearly 3 walks a game as well, or slightly over. He's averaging slightly over 3 walks per start this season. He's gone over 2 walks that he's given up in 8 of 14 starts this season. And he's actually walked 4 batters in 7 of those games as well. So most of the time he's actually getting more than the 3 that we need here. Look, he was really good in his last start. I want to acknowledge that he pitched against a bad Tigers team and took advantage of them to go 6 innings. He just gave up 1 run, struck out 8, and he did not walk anybody in that time frame. However, this is not the Detroit Tigers. This is the San Diego Padres. And as much as I've been just trashing them all season for how much they've underperformed, as well they deserve it, they have started hitting with that lineup that is wildly impressive, and partly because they've started walking a bunch more. Something they've done all season, to be honest, but they keep doing it at an incredible rate. Basically since, let's say, June 1st are the numbers I have here, the last about 6 weeks or so. The Padres are at a 111 WRC plus. They are at a 330 WOBA and a 427 slugging. And this is all versus right-handed pitching in that time, but all of those things are good for top 10 and top 5 in a number of them as well. They have the highest walk rate on the season. Like I said, been doing that at to the tune of 11.5% of the time for this team that they're walking, which is incredible walk rate. And largely that's helped by Juan Soto, who probably underperformed since he's come to this team as well. But at the same time, his ability to walk is absolutely incredible. He's gotten at least 1 walk in 86 of 94 games. So I'm not really looking at him. I think the odds makers have caught up to Juan Soto's walk rate. I don't think you can get over half a walk for him anymore. You've really got to go over 1.5 walks for him in a game, and you probably get some pretty good juice when you find that. But that's not going to be enough for me to feel good about taking a Juan Soto walk bet. It just feels good enough to take a fade Alek Manoah in the sense that he's going to throw or walk more than 2 batters in this one and get closer to 3 or more. So love that one for him as well. And then lastly, I'm also going back to fading another pitcher. This is where I feel most comfortable putting my money, y'all. So that's how I'm going to keep doing it. Taj Bradley on the Tampa Bay Rays playing the Rangers tried to target McClanahan yesterday. Let's be very clear. McClanahan is much better than the young Taj Bradley, at least right now. I mean, Bradley's flashed some really, really nice stuff. Like I want to give him his due as well. A 3.6 ERA through his first 7 starts. He's got 80 Ks as well in the season in 61 innings pitched, which is very, very good. But things have sort of turned around for him over the last roughly 3 or 4 weeks as well. If you look at the way when it started, it was actually 5 weeks ago against the Rangers when he allowed 5 runs in that game in 3 2/3. The 4 of those runs were earned. So, 4 earned, 5 total in less than 4 innings pitched. That was just 5 weeks ago. And since then, he's had 6 starts, 3 earned runs in 4 of those at least. And he's also done that in each of the last 3 where he's given up at least 3 runs there for Taj Bradley. So things falling apart a little bit, not that abnormal for a young pitcher to get to this point of the season, and some guys to have figured him out a bit more. Lineups have seen him a bunch more times now than the first couple, 7 times that he pitched this season. And now he's playing a Rangers team that has already seen him and has whooped him and is probably feeling pretty confident against him. So looking at a little bit more, that ERA over those last 6, like I said, where he was giving up 3 earned runs in 4 of them, his ERA is up to 5.43 in that time over those last 5 weeks. 7 home runs that he's allowed in 4 starts, at least 1 in all 4 starts, 7 total with a couple multi-home run games that he's given up over those last 6 games. That's an 8.35 ERA in that time. That's how he got that season ERA all the way up to 5.4 from 3.6. I mean, 2 runs on that ERA over the course of 6 starts means it's been bad. So, let's give him his a little bit of due. This is where the baseball stats get funny because he's got an xERA, meaning his expected ERA over the last 5 weeks, 6 starts for him is much lower than the 8.5 it's been at. It's a 4.04. So he's gotten a lot. That's on the season. I should be very clear. His 4.04 xERA is what it is on the season, much lower than the 5.4 it's all the way gotten all the way up to. But I don't want us crying or losing any tears over the expected ERA and how much he may or may not be getting screwed by, a high BABIP and things like that. 6%. He's in the 6th percentile in terms of average exit velocity. Easy for me to say. So the fact that velo against him is just skyrocketing, and guys continue to get really, really hard hit balls on him. Actually, a 12% hard hit ball rate for him as he's been pitching over the last 6 starts, like I keep saying. So all this just trending really poorly for him, coming in against a Rangers team that, I mean, if you watched yesterday, I spoke exactly about how good they are, continuing to crush right-handed pitching, really continuing to hit all pitching really well with that lineup that has them in first in the AL West. So continue to ride with the Rangers to hit, continue to fade some of these pitchers that are on some of these losing streaks and sort of hard hit streaks. And that's where Taj Bradley's at. So over 2.5 to earn run for him, 0.2 units on it. And that is all the time I have for you in this one. Make sure to like and subscribe to that page. Continue to follow along. Coming back tomorrow on Wednesday and the rest of this week. So until we see you next, happy betting.